Well, regardless of what you may think of Disney's treatment of the Star Wars franchise for the past 7 years, you can't deny that they've given us both good and terrible content. This is especially true this season with The Mandalorian and Jedi Fallen Order, which I'm doing a terrible gameplay series of. This might as well be Disney's best Star Wars year, until that one third drops in December. With that said,
Hello there.
this is the Purist, and we'll be talking The Mandalorian. This will clearly be a spoiler review of the first 4 episodes, so you've either seen them or you have a mistake to fix. Let's get to it. The series is made by Iron Man's director Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who's the executive producer of The Clone Wars, Rebels, and the guy who has single-handedly been keeping Star Wars alive since 2008. As soon as I heard these two were developing a live-action Star Wars series, I got excited because their previous collaboration was in, well, the Mandalorian arcs of the Clone Wars series with Favreau voicing Pre Vizsla. Seriously, if somehow you haven't watched that shit yet, fix that mistake, it's a masterpiece. The trailers looked awesome, so the question now, 4 episodes in, is did it live up to the hype? Well, surprisingly, some people thought it didn't, and I could understand them while disagreeing. While the first 2 episodes were indeed pretty uneventful, they did a great job of establishing the galaxy's underworld and introducing us to the main character, his values, and the biggest meme of the month. I mean, how can the internet not? Look at it. Honestly, the thing that totally carried the first 2 episodes was clearly its tone. Knowing Disney, I never expected them to fully commit to an actual, full-blown space spaghetti western. I mean, hell, those were the kind of movies that inspired Lucas when he was doing the first Star Wars. I expected the show to be a wisecracking adventure where the only gritty thing was the environment and the action. Honestly, looking back at those expectations, they were very poorly founded. In fact, the maker, they got subverted. Now I want to talk about what helps establish that tone. The soundtrack, for example. It's done by Black Panther and Venom composer Ludwig Göransson, and it's a stellar blend of traditional Western music and fast-paced synth. The set designs, especially the cantina and Ugnaught Nick Nolte's farm, were also taken straight out of a space reskin of a spaghetti western. And I can't stress this enough, but holy fuck are the effects amazing. I know this is Disney's flagship series, but still, it's only a series. Its monstrous budget definitely explains the short runtime though. The sets and costume designs are also terrific for a TV series, and hell, they're straight up movie standards. I just wanted to give the show credit in that department. Another thing is, ever since the trailer started dropping, one of my favorite things was the gritty, grounded feel that Rogue One had. And that's no surprise given they're done by the same cinematographer, and with Rogue One being in my top 3 Star Wars films, easily being the best of the Disney bunch. Not that there's a lot of competition there. That can only be a good thing. I wanted to point this out since unfortunately cinematographers rarely get the praise and recognition they deserve. Effects aside, let's talk narrative. Plenty of complaints were made during the first 2 episodes, and now I'm seeing a lot of those same people eat their words. To repeat, the first 2 episodes indeed weren't that eventful, but they served a solid purpose. The pilot established our main character and the galaxy's underworld, but the second episode highlighted the Mandalorian's weaknesses, and the fact that even he, the fierce bounty hunter with an impeccable reputation, can be in an environment where he ends up helpless and beat down by Jawas. Fucking love these guys. Anyways, the point is that it shows there's more to the character than just a one-dimensional badass, unlike another Star Wars lead. The 3rd episode is where shit went wild as the Mandalorian has to fight against all odds to protect Baby Yoda. The episode also did a lot of payoffs to story elements in episode 1, such as the Mandalorian outpost, the Beskar, which is an awesome concept from the Clone Wars and I'm so glad to see it in live action, and the fate of the planet itself, making you wonder whether we'll actually see Mandalore or Concordia. Episode 3 was just amazing. The fact that it was directed by Deborah Chow is also making me very optimistic for her work on the upcoming Obi-Wan series. So, that episode being as wild of a ride as it was, some people were disappointed in episode 4 being a more quiet, character-focused Seven Samurai kind of story. Even though I'm fine with that, I understand that people who argue it screws up the momentum the series picked up with episode 3. Aside from that, the closest thing I've got to a complaint is the fact that the characters for now don't seem like much more than archetypes. Mostly likable and well-rounded, but archetypes nonetheless. On the other hand, this is Star Wars, so it's hardly new. Take our main character for example. He's a quiet, menacing and mysterious space Clint Eastwood type with a dark past, but he's got heart and compassion deep down. The lone gunslinger archetype incarnate. Again, this is hardly even a complaint, it's more of an observation. Speaking of observations, the thing that stuck out to me about this series was that it felt like a classic Old Republic-esque RPG. You run around and deliver items to get an armor boost, or hell, in the case of the Jawas, you get your ship parts back. Felt like a side quest structure that anyone who's played the Old Republic games can relate to. Now I have to admit, although a lot of people wanted the show to have much more content in its early stage, having the series hold back on the tons of exposition could have drowned viewers with, and instead actually rely more on visual storytelling and limited yet natural character interactions was quite refreshing, and I would take more of that any day compared to bland, boring and lifeless exposition that thrives in other shows. And hell, for a few of these interactions, the show has already done a better job with its world building than the sequel trilogy. Now, for a finish, it feels damn good to like Star Wars again. It's been 3 years since I last did. Between this and Jedi Fallen Order, this is probably the best time to be a Star Wars fan since Disney bought the franchise in terms of quality content. Now, The Mandalorian is not without flaws. I think IG-11 was a big waste, some effects weren't that good, and some set designs do look stale. But those are just nitpicks. The series itself is amazing, and even having a small yet competently made Star Wars story like this is enough, and it's certainly light years ahead of most of Disney's lineup. Naturally, this is what you get when you have people who actually love this universe and know what they're doing. So, Lucasfilm, I'd consider leaving my future projects in their hands instead of this unholy trinity. 2 down, 1 to go. Anyways, whatever anyone thought of The Mandalorian, it's only halfway in, and if anything, things are about to get even better. Wholeheartedly, this is the way for Star Wars.
This is the way.
Thank you for watching this review, hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, consider subscribing. This was my first review and I'm only starting out, so I'd really appreciate it. You can expect more Mandalorian breakdowns, Jedi Fallen Order gameplay, reviews of HBO's Watchmen and his Dark Materials series, and much more. Thank you for watching and have a great day. I have spoken.